Heck yeah, let it be.
The Bucks are the best team in basketball, and it just helps that the Bucks also have the best player.
He is now the face of the league.
The Bucks have the best record in the NBA.
But I'm going with the Bucks in the Eastern Conference.
I'm also going with the Bucks in the Eastern Conference.
Milwaukee had a timeout and didn't use it.
This was a complete collapse from the Milwaukee Bucks on offense, and it's the kind of loss that you're never the same after.
I think their moment has come and gone as presently constructed.
This past week, the NBA world was turned upside down by Jimmy Butler and his Miami Heat when they took down the odds-on championship favorite Milwaukee Bucks in the first round in just 5 games. A team with 3 Defensive Player of the Year candidates, a 6th Man of the Year candidate, and the player who most people consider, or at least did consider, the best basketball player in the world. A team only 2 years removed from a championship that just 3 weeks ago sat atop the NBA landscape with the best record in ball at 58-24. And all they could muster was 1 win in these playoffs. After the game, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the team's best player, was asked this.
I'm curious for you, do you view this season as a failure?
And his response has been touted by fans and the media as one of the most real and honest answers you'll ever get from an NBA player in a post-game interview.
Oh my God. You asked me the same question last year, Eric. Okay. Do you get the promotion every year? On your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, provide the house for them, or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success. You know, and if you've never, I don't want to make it personal. Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure. That's what you're telling me. It's a wrong question. There's no failure in sports. You know, there's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful, some days you're not. Some days it's your turn, some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about. You don't always win. Some other people's gonna win. And this year, somebody else is gonna win.
Usually after a game, win or loss, but especially after a loss, players don't bother giving the media real answers beyond the basic cookie-cutter responses that everyone has. Most players wouldn't even be there answering questions if they weren't required to by the league. Instead, Giannis gave an incredibly emotional yet eloquent answer that many have called a great example of a healthy mindset for an athlete. Many world-class athletes have this mindset that if they don't win, the season was a failure. Shaq on Inside the NBA echoed the sentiment.
So when you're the great player and they expect you to win and you don't win, in my mind, it is a failure. I played 19 seasons and I failed 15 seasons. When I didn't win, it was a failure.
So this moment in time, the 1 seed falling to the 8 seed for the first time since 2012, begs the question, if this isn't failure in the NBA, then what is? Failure is dependent on context. What were the expectations of the team? Were there any significant injuries? Context is why we don't often hear about the last time a 1 seed lost to an 8 seed. Back in 2012 between the Bulls and the Sixers. Game 1 of that series, the Bulls won the game, but lost their star Derrick Rose to an ACL injury. And while Giannis was hurt early in the first game of the series, causing him to miss the next 2 games, the 2 games he played in once he came back, the Bucks lost. Secondly, expectation of a team matters. For example, this season for the Kings, I don't believe is a failure. They didn't get out of the first round either, even though they also had home court advantage. So without context, they're on the same level as the Bucks. But not only were they playing the defending champion Warriors, the expectation coming into the season for the Kings, even from their fans, was to just finish above 500. Instead, the team was 3rd best in the West and took the reigning champs to a Game 7. The same could be said for the Thunder. While the team did miss the playoffs, they were expected to. They still put up a fight till the very last play-in game, all the while showcasing their young talent, with one of them possibly getting an All-NBA spot. One of the youngest cores in the NBA that's also sitting on 14 first-round picks in the next 5 years at their disposal if they want to turn into contenders real quick. As far as OKC should be concerned, the season was exactly what they wanted it to be. I want to give an analogy that I think everybody can relate to. I'm going to relate it through school. Right, there are different expectations for different students. Some students are A students. Some students are consistently C students. Some students you just expect to fail. There are different expectations for different students or the teams. Some of y'all's parents were cool so long as you passed the class. Some of y'all's parents were going to ground you if you got anything less than an A-. You're going into a test or a season expecting to come out of it with an A, expecting to come out of it with a championship being the odds-on favorite, and you come out of it with a C-. Your parents are going to be pissed. You should be disappointed. But if you're a student that has failed 16 straight tests and then you study your ass off, work really hard, and get a C+ because you went to 7 games in the first round, you come home with that C+, your parents might be taking you out to dinner. They're celebrating. There are different expectations. A C to a student that's constantly failing their tests is an amazing outcome. But a C to a student that's a straight A student is basically failing. Considering the expectations of this team, not just at the start of the season, but heading into the playoffs, this season is a failure for the Bucks as a franchise. That failure naturally falls on the shoulders of the team's biggest star. Hate and negativity don't have to come with failure. Failure can be a motivating point of growth for a team and an individual. If what's healthiest for Giannis' mental is to say that this season isn't a failure, that's cool. That's what he should do. But objectively, from what the team and the fans wanted and expected the outcome of the season to be, they failed. What is failure in sports if not failing to meet expectations? We may not look back on the careers of NBA greats and see their failures because we look back on their triumphs first, but those that came before, Jordan, Kobe, Shaq, Duncan, all had failures in their careers. That doesn't make them or Giannis or any of the other Bucks players for that matter failures as people. Doesn't make them failures in life or failures as even athletes. But in this moment, it's a failure in his story and the team. Speaking of the story of a great player, let's go back to one of the guys I just mentioned, Tim Duncan. The year before the D. Roseless Bulls lost to Philly, the Duncan-led 2011 1-seed Spurs fell in 6 to the 8-seed Grit and Grind Grizzlies in the first round. And Duncan put up a stinker of a series. And that moment in Duncan's career was a failure. But that failure didn't stop him from winning a championship 3 years later in 2014. If anything, it probably continued to fuel him. Giannis is one of the best players in the world. That is undeniable. But the throne of the best is going to get questioned. And rightfully so. He has to come back next season and show everybody he is the best and can bounce back and take this team on another title run. Because as it stands, this season for the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo was a massive failure. And that's okay. The story of basketball or any other sport, even though we may only remember the successes, cannot be told without the failures that coincide. Life is full of failures, but without failure, success would mean nothing. I'll keep the outro short because I feel like that was a pretty impactful ending, or at least I hope it was. If you enjoyed the video, leave me a like, leave me a comment, give me any feedback you got for me. And if you want to see more content from me, leave me a subscription as well. And yeah, I'll got a few more ideas coming down the pipeline, and I'm out of school now, out of college for the summer, even though I might be getting a job soon. But for now, I'm just working on the videos, so they should be coming out more frequently. But yeah, anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.